This is episode 462 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abul-Samad from Telemetry.
And I'm Nicole Wakeland.
And I am Roberto Baldo from SAE International.
It's almost like you forgot who you were for a second there, Nicole.
I remembered who I was. I just wasn't sure. I just was being me. I'm going to just choose to be me. I am Nicole Wakeland. That's it. Just Nicole Wakeland of the Wheel Bearings podcast.
All right. Well, did you drive anything this week, Nicole?
I did not. I did not get a car because it was our New England Motor Press Association's Ragtop Ramble. And because I couldn't attend, they did not give me a car this week.
Oh,
that
okay.
was my
Ramble.
That was my you're not coming, you don't get a car this week. Okay.
Ramble on. There.
Cool. We do. It is a cool event because you drive from Massachusetts up to Maine and you have lobster and clam chowder and blueberry pie and this beautiful, I think it's called the Colony Hotel. And you just look out over the water. It's a really cool drive.
You do all the New England things.
We do all the New England things. Yes. Pie, blueberry pie because you're in Maine, lobster because you're in New England, clam chowder because you're in New England.
Is it all convertibles?
The idea is for it to be convertibles, but of course there's fewer and fewer of those. Not everyone has one. So if an OEM has a convertible, generally we'll have it. Even if it's just like for a couple days for the ramble, if it's something that's not normally in our fleet, sometimes they'll give us
50
something.
Miatas.
Exactly. But then it's just other cars and they try to give us something fun. We've had some SUVs and very non-summer outdoorsy in the air cars.
Anybody bring an old Murano Cross Cabriolet?
They're always new. They're always new ones. It's not our cars. It's the OEM cars. Whatever.
So you can get you got a Miata, you got the Hummer.
There was a BMW,
the Wrangler,
Bronco and Wrangler, Mercedes SL,
probably
Mercedes, the BMW something.
I have no idea. But I was at the Seltos Drive, which was lovely.
But you can't talk about that one yet, right?
Yeah.
I cannot talk about that one yet. That is embargoed until the 21st, which is Monday.
Tuesday.
Didn't I drive a Kia Seltos like 6 months ago? I must have driven.
Tuesday. It's embargoed till embargoed.
Yeah,
It's
embargoed.
It's embargoed till Tuesday.
All right. Well, Robbie, what about you?
I drove the Mustang Mach-e GT. So the Mustang Mach-e GT is a very fun car to drive, but it is also very for every really cool thing about the Mustang Mach-e GT, there's something just weird or infuriating. And so driving it, really like to drive it. Don't like the fact that I got to go into the screen to change the drive modes though. You got to hit the bit. There's a little picture of the car. So it's like one button to get to that screen, but you still got to go into the screen and then click something else versus just a button somewhere that says drive modes and you can just toggle through things. So I didn't like that. No. It's quick.
Our Kia has a button that just says drive mode. It's right on the steering wheel.
It's right on the steering wheel. We have the same
thumb.
thing on it's just bloop, 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 easy peasy. I don't, it's for, especially for a car that's supposed to be, for a like fun enthusiast car like that it just seems, I don't know. It's just bonkers that's where they decided to put it. I do like the little tiny dash cluster that they have behind the wheel, but then you look to the right and there's that giant flat screen. It's like you're ordering from McDonald's.
Yeah.
I like that.
And you're like, okay, there's a big giant screen. I do like the giant, volume control. And if you tap one of the climate controls, then you can use that to turn your heat up and down. But it's like 2 taps to do that, or you just keep tapping on the climate control to go hotter or colder. Which I'm just like, I guess sure you did this. Cool. It's just there's too many things in the screen. It's what it comes down to. There's too many things in the screen. I don't like the idea that I had to explain to people how to open the door. You should never have to explain to people how to open a door in a car.
That should be the most basic of things. Everyone should know how to get out.
Get in or out. Getting out is fine. Getting in, they have the little button and that little teeny tiny little ledge that you
little
you grab your little your fingies. Yeah, so it's like the seat's a little too high for me, but they want it to be an SUV. They don't want it to fight too much with the Mustang, the sedan, or the coupe if it's the two-door. Overall, I like the car. I don't like the way, like, okay. A few months ago, Ford said, "Hey, you know the giant frunk that we're offering everybody? You know, the one we filled full of shrimp that one time?"
Oh, I remember that.
So we're going to take that away because people aren't using it. So we're going to take it away. And if you want it, you got to pay a little extra. It's an option now. So you get a frunk, but you don't get the giant one anymore. Well, guess what I got?
You got one without a frunk?
I got the tiny frunk that I can't even...
There's two different sizes? I somehow missed that.
No. So for model year 26, they finally replaced the HVAC system in the Mach-e with a heat pump system, and apparently it takes up more room in the front. So they took that space away from the frunk. So the frunk is now like half the size it was, half the volume it was before.
Oh God, no, it's not half. It's like a 10% of the volume it was in the one I had. I couldn't stick my backpack that I shove under seats on airplanes constantly. I couldn't put it in there and close the hood.
Oh.
It's that small. It's just like, it's completely, I was so angry. I was like, cause I had to go somewhere and I took my work computer with me because in case something happens, I need to do some work. And as so every time I get out of the car, I take my backpack with me. I don't leave my backpack in the car because that's dumb. That's how you get your gear stolen, period. People look in, they see a backpack, crime of opportunity. So we get back to the car and I'm like, oh, I'll just put it in the frunk. And then I open it and I'm like, oh, here's this tiny little frunk. So I took and I couldn't close the hood. I'm just like, I kept trying. And my wife's like, what's going on? I'm like, I can't close the hood. She's like, this thing used to be huge and now it's not. And so I stuck it in the back of the car. So that's annoying. It's still, even though, Ford is the first to support NACS as an automaker. This one still has CCS. It still has CCS charging, which fine, whatever. That's not a big deal. It only charges up to 150 kilowatts, which I feel like they could have I don't know. They could have done something, especially if they're like, oh, we did the heat pump, we took away your frunk, but we're like, what about nah. It just feels like because Ford has sort of pulled back on EVs, they've sort of left this really good car in a lot of instances kind of like, yeah, we're just going to do a couple little things.
This is the fundamental problem that Ford had with that first batch of EVs they did with the Mach-e, the Lightning, the E-Transit, is they were all, pretty solid when they launched.
I like it's fun to drive.
Literally nothing with them.
Yeah.
For the next 4 or 5 years. They didn't do, that continuous improvement. I mean, look at what Toyota did with the BZ4X and the Solterra.
Yeah.
They were bad and they made them good.
Really? Yeah. No, it is unfortunate because it feels like this car has been left to sort of languish. And it is, again, a very fun car to drive. It is very solid. That this is a fun enthusiast car. And then I'm just like, there's just all these little things. I'm just like, God, just give it some love. Come on. This is a good EV that needs some love as it ages. And I don't think Ford is going to do that for a while, which when it came out, you're like, oh, cool. Awesome. 150 kilowatt charging. Yeah, that's great. Now it's hard to justify, that sort of charging speed when everything else is up to, is coming in at 200. It's just like, oh, okay. All right.
And that's on cars with 400 volt electrical systems like the Mach-e. They're doing 200 kilowatts.
They're doing 200. They're maxing it out. I mean, if the ID Buzz, which we all were like, what? 200? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
The ID Buzz, and we're like, all right. Which, by the way, I still love the ID Buzz. I'm just waiting for something to the market. I don't know what has to happen for those to either they need to do 800 volts or the prices for the used ones need to go down. In a couple of years, fingers crossed, get an ID Buzz for 35. Anyway,
so that would be your garage. You have the Ioniq 5. the Slate and the ID Buzz?
That's too many cars. I can't have that many cars. I probably just gotta get the Slate. Unless the Kia van with the PV5 comes here, then I'm like, oh, forget it, game over. PV5. Anyway, so it gets 10 hours. I'm sorry, not 10 hours. It's 255 miles of range. Unfortunately, this week was bonkers. A lot of crazy shit happened. Oh, I'm saying the S word. I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe you can beep it. I don't know how that works.
I can mute that.
A lot of crazy stuff happened. It's got 255 miles of range. I didn't have a chance to do my mileage run, which I'm kind of bummed about. I got home last night at like 1 a.m. and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't do the mileage run. Oh no, Sam's gonna be so angry at me. So later, Sam's gonna hit me. AC charging, 11 kilowatts. That's great. That I hit it out of the park when it first came out with that. That's awesome. Comfortable seats. The seats are comfortable for me. I like it. I still think they're sitting too high, but again, I feel like they did that just to give you more of that SUV feel. Every time I get in the car, I'm always constantly pushing down on the button.
Yeah,
like, lower.
My biggest complaint about the Mach-e seats, and I think they have similar seat setup in the Maverick, is when you raise and lower the seat, it doesn't lift the whole thing up. It's actually like pivoted from the front. So if you raise it up, you end up kind of tilting the seat cushion forward.
Like, oh.
So you can't adjust the front and back. The front part never moves. Just the back.
It's not like an elevator. It's more like a dump truck.
Yes,
it's dumping you. It's dumping you into the steering wheel. It's a really fun car to drive, and you get it. It feels solid. It feels planted. It feel like you stomp on the accelerator, and you can feel it's like, I got this. And I felt like when the first drive I did with this vehicle, whenever I would stop and take off, you would because the way cars work or physics, like the front end would lift a little and you get some squealing. I haven't gotten that this week on this. I don't know if they did something with it. It was one of the first things I told them, like, hey, it lifts, you guys, something with, do something with the suspension, do something. And so maybe they've done that, or they've adjusted the torque vectoring in that instance. So it doesn't matter. End of the day, it's a fun car to drive, but it just feels like Ford has sort of like left it to languish, which is really unfortunate, because when you're paying at the base price $53,395, and then by the time with the Mach-e Rally, that's a $4,300 equipment, and it looks cool. It's got those weird wheels, which I don't know the name of. I can't remember the name because Ford's media site is trash. I can't even find the tech specs for it. I go to any other automaker. I'm like, oh, I need tech specs on a Kia EV9, or I need tech specs on.
Half the time I go to look for stuff on Ford's site and I can't find it on the media site. Us who need to access that all the time, and I'm digging around on the consumer site saying they must tell the consumer how much horsepower this has. I'm like, why am I having to dig through and pretend to build a car to find this?
Front.
If anyone from Ford Communications is listening to this,
oh my god,
let me just repeat: FromTheRoad.com sucks.
It's not a media site.
Yeah.
You're writing your little blog posts. Cool. Have Ford From the Road, have that, send it out to, people who buy the cars, enthusiasts, whatever. We still need a media site, like a place to get information, or we're going to be hassling you.
It sounds like you're making this is a really first world problem, but literally where you can get information on other automakers in about 5 minutes. You have everything you need, every detail, every color, every trim, every price, every package. And half an hour later, you're still trying to find specs in a Ford vehicle. It's incredibly frustrating. Grr.
Yeah, I need to know what's the wheel clearance on the clearance on a car. Go to Subaru site, go to Mercedes site, go to Kia site. Good. Boom. Find it within a few minutes. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Here, it's just like, hey, you want to hear about how we drove across country in a Mach-e? No, I don't care. That is not helpful to me at all. Your stories about doing things, cool, but it's not helping. It doesn't help me because I have a job to do, and that job is to give people correct information about vehicles so they can make choices that are extremely expensive. Like, I think one of the things we do is we give people a yes or no. You know, we either we
Should
allow
you
them
spend
to
$55,000 on a Mach-e GT?
yes. Should you, which is a lot of money. And for some people, that'll be the largest purchase they ever make in their lifetime. And if I can't give them like all the information, because I have to sit there and search, and then I have to email somebody, and then I have to do this, and they're like, "Hey, what's this?" It's very frustrating because I just want to give people information. By the way, the frunk is a $500 option.
Yes. So you're paying $500 now for a tiny little frunk now.
A tiny little frunk. Anyway, so yeah, I feel like, you know, that's a very nickel and dimey thing for Ford to do, to be honest. To take something that was big, add something, but don't adjust the packaging, make it very small, but also charge you money, $500, which is a car payment. One extra car payment for a tiny frunk that you can put a laptop in. Like, you know, the Bionic 5 has about the same size frunk. It's good for putting a cable in. That's about it.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting charged from it. It wasn't huge, like, you know, 3 years ago. It's just like, okay, we don't really have a frunk as far as we, you know.
But you know what Hyundai and Kia don't do? They don't charge you $500 for this, you know, little mail slot that you can stick your charging cable in.
So anyway, it had a wireless charging pad, which I know people love. It's got rubberized. It's got little edges, so that's nice. Phone is a key, regenerative braking, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's the Mustang Mach-e. It's a fun car to drive. There's a lot of things that I wish had been updated, especially considering where everyone else's EVs have evolved to. That's my Ford Mach-e. You guys want to guess the destination fee on this overall oh wait, it's even more than that. $62,615 car that I drove.
$1,895.
$1,995.
Sam was closer. $2,045.
Oh,
Over two.
Yeah. Where's it made?
Cuautitlán, Mexico.
Cuautitlán, Mexico. It better come with tacos. That's all I'm saying. If you're gonna charge me that much, I just want tacos. I mean, I just want tacos anyway. But I would be nice if like your car came with.
All things being equal, tacos. But
All things being equal,
Give you a gift
tacos.
card for your closest taco truck.
Yeah, just like a little. Here's your. It's a Visa card, but it says tacos only on it.
tacos. This card good only for
Like
tacos.
you go to a sandwich spot, they're like, "Nah, man, this is for tacos."
It's a taco card. We're
It
seeing
says right here, tacos.
unless you want to
Get out of here.
Get out.
Maybe you can get a torta, maybe, but you're supposed to
No.
get tacos. Anyway, yeah, Mustang Mach-e, fun car that just needs just some love, just some hug or something. Just come on, Ford.
Well, you know, maybe, you know, they're just going to keep the current Mach-e going for another few years and then make a successor model based on the universal EV platform.
I would. I feel like they're just holding for everything because they've pulled back and they're like, well, what do we do? And they're like, let's just.
All launch EVs, not just Ford, is just so strange because everyone like rushed to go, and it's sort of as if not everyone really had a strategy. It was just, what's your strategy? Build one. Like, it's like we must have one. Build one. Put it out there, and then they put a few out there, and they went, wait a minute. This strategy is not a strategy.
Turns out we had some bad ideas, and there are, I think, I feel like I'm a Hyundai Kia fanboy, but they had a real strategy.
They did. They were an exception. They actually had a strategy. They actually had a plan, and it's okay. That's how you should do it. So the people who kind of didn't are now struggling
the price.
to find the plan. They're paying the price by having vehicles that they have to decide whether or not they want to even keep them in production. They have to decide if they change them. They have to decide if they just, in this case, like let them languish,
I feel like Ford saw the Cybertruck and were like, yeah, crazy with the F-150. They expected way more people to buy it. big truck people are not really EV people for the most part. I think they didn't do a very good job selling these to fleets, because I see a lot of Silverados and Rivians in fleets, but not a lot of F-150 Lightnings, which is weird because it is.
On the other hand,
companies here, a couple of like paving companies have like fleets of Rivians because you'll see them paving, and landscape companies fleets of Rivians because you'll see them at someone's house and it's 2 or 3 Rivians. Like these small local companies, not giant companies, and it's not an F-150. It's never. There's one person in our neighborhood who owns a Lightning, and
it's a great truck.
Yeah, I mean, I actually see a fair number of them around here. Of course, we also have a lot of people who work for Ford, that probably got them on employee discount and everything, so that that certainly helps. But you see a fair number of them around. But yeah, you're right. They're rarely in commercial use. It's almost always consumers that are driving them.
Yeah.
Whereas GM did sell a lot more of those to a lot more of the Silverado EV work trucks to fleets.
Yeah. And the F-150 Lightning is the same body as the regular F-150. So all the stuff that you put on your F-150, you could put on the Lightning. Anyway, I'm going to digress and let Sam talk about his vehicle this week.
Okay.
Go for it, Sam.
I had the 2026 Ford F-150. Let's see, 4x4 Super Crew, Lariat, PowerBoost, with 10-speed automatic transmission. So lots of name, and almost everyone that has seen this thing immediately comments, that's a really nice shade of black, when in fact it is not black. It's antimatter blue, which is an almost black shade of blue.
I love it. What color is almost black?
My WRX was like midnight blue, so it just looked black. Unless you saw like a shimmer in the sun, then you'd see blue flecks.
Yeah, my wife saw it and said, well, it's too bad it's black. Wish it was another color. And it's like, well, no, actually,
not black.
Look, stand over here and see the sun hitting those angles, and you'll see it is in fact blue.
I don't believe you. You're a liar. Get out of my house, witch.
So anyway, the PowerBoost, that's Ford's truck hybrid system. This is not quite it has, apart from the Raptor R, it has the most torque of any F-150, almost the most powerful. So they have the 3.5 liter high output EcoBoost, 450 horsepower, only 510 foot-pounds of torque. The PowerBoost is 430 horsepower, 570 foot-pounds of torque. It will tow in 4x4 mode up to 11,600 pounds. It's a crew cab, which is the way the vast majority of F-150s are sold now. When we were at the unveiling of the Ram 1500 Rumblebees back in May. Yeah, it was May. Tim Kaniskis talked about, he was asked, why they didn't do a regular cab version of the Rumblebee like they've done in the past with their sport trucks. And he said, nobody buys the single cabs, the regular cabs.
Especially on an enthusiast vehicle like that. Like I see a lot of F-150 work vehicles that are single cabs and Toyota Tundras that are single cabs, but those are all like almost 90% of them are just like, they're landscapers, they're fleet trucks, whatever.
Yeah, and even those increasingly are extended cabs or crew cabs. These days, like Ram does not even offer a regular cab version of the 1500 anymore. They haven't since they dropped the Ram Classic a couple of years ago. So, they're like extended cab and crew cab only. Ford does offer a single cab version, but I don't think you can get the hybrid in the regular cab. So lots of power in this thing. Unlike the Tundra, which is, similar sized vehicle, similar output. I think the Tundra has slightly more power and a little bit less torque, but it also weighs like 900 pounds more than an F-150.
That's a
because
lot.
steel body as opposed to aluminum.
Aluminium.
Yep. So this actually gets, not exceptional, but decent fuel economy. It's rated at 23 city and 22 city, 24 highway, 23 combined. And I've been averaging about 22 this week, with a lot of highway driving. And air conditioning turned on because it was hot, or very smoky. And so kept the AC on, and recirculating the air to keep the hot, smoky air on the outside of the truck. As trucks go, it's a good truck. It's like 5.5 foot bed, which is, fairly standard. I think the Ram crew cab, Ram 1500 crew cab is like 5'7". The Silverados are like 5'8". So it's, shorter, but it's fine. This one had the same type of hard trifold tonneau cover on it that was on the Maverick that I was driving last week, which is quite expensive. It's like $1,400.
Tonneau covers are so pricey.
I know.
Yeah.
Plastic that folds and locks.
Yeah. I know. It's nuts.
No, they're more, they're more complicated than that.
But not a lot more complicated.
But not much.
This one also had the FX4 package. So it was a 4x4, had the FX4 package, which gets you some little more all-terrainy tires, and some skid plates on the bottom. It had the bed utility package with a whole bunch of tie-down stuff, which is like $1,845. It had the Pro Access tailgate, which is that new tailgate they launched a couple of years ago, where the middle half, so it's split, a quarter, half, a quarter, and so you can open it like a regular tailgate. And by the way, it's a power tailgate, so you press the button and it slowly lowers down. And when you want to close the tailgate, just kind of give it a little tap from underneath, and it lifts itself up and closes it. And then this Pro tailgate, the middle section of the tailgate is hinged sideways. So if you have a trailer hooked up, you can kind of open that up at an angle and still get some access to your bed without having to unhook the trailer to fully drop down the tailgate. It's kind of a neat idea, but it's also fairly expensive. It's where is it here? $745.
Is it cheaper than when you don't think about it, you open the tailgate and then your tailgate hits whatever you're hauling, and then now you got a big old giant dent in your tailgate? Is it cheaper than a new tailgate?
If you're willing to just drive around with a dent in your tailgate, which, if you look at a lot of trucks, that's exactly the way they're driving around.
You see the tailgate dip, you're like, oh. And I can't get mad at that person, because I almost did that when I was when I worked for the. So I learned how to drive trailers and back in it and hook up and all this when I worked for the schools. I worked for the ag barn and so I worked on a farm. I worked on a school farm and it was mostly just animals. It was more of a ranch, I guess. But every once in a while, go to open. I'm like, oh wait, to get hay out or farm stuff out of the back, and then I realize I'm going to break the tailgate and my boss is going to yell at me. The only thing that stopped me from ruining the tailgate was getting yelled at by my boss.
Yeah. So, if you can live with a little dent in your tailgate, not the end of the world. Save you $745. This one also had Blue Cruise on it. So I was doing my usual testing, because the F-150 doesn't yet have the latest version, version 1.5 of Blue Cruise that's on the Mach-e. Some of the newer F-150s like this one have version 1.4. Some of the older ones still haven't gotten updated to 1.4. Ford just announced, I think this past week, that they're actually going to start shipping out an OTA update for some older F-150s to bring them up to 1.4. So 1.4 definitely works a lot better than the last version of Blue Cruise that I tried on an F-150. The curves where traditionally Blue Cruise has given up and said, put your hands back on the wheel. it works fine on those now. It'll do lane changing when you tap the turn signal stock, but it won't do a lane change on its own, which is something that's in 1.5. Again, that's fine.
The Mach-e did all that stuff. At this point, and I think like hands free to me is just like it's good when I have to eat like food while I'm driving.
Yeah,
but
if you got to eat some tacos while you're on a road trip.
Yeah,
I'm forced to eat food while I'm driving.
It's like I want to eat something and I want a little extra help while I'm doing it. That's all it is. The rest of the time, like I just have my hands on the wheel, and it tried to get out. It actually tried to get out of the way of someone who was coming up behind me. I was in the left lane.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, whoa, what's happening? Because I wasn't used to that. I was used to like only trying to overtake. And so I stopped it. But then I moved over anyway because I'm a good person.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good to hear.
I'm an okay person. I don't know if I'm a good person.
Don't go too far, Sam.
Yeah.
Payload on this thing, 1,740 pounds. For reference, that little Maverick I had last week, 1,500-pound payload. So you only get 240 pounds more for going from a Maverick to an F-150.
Seriously.
The Slate is 1,500, right?
I think so. 1,500.
Yeah, it's 1,500. It's 1,500 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 1,550. No, wait, 1,500. Around 1,550. And 2,000 pounds. Yeah. Yeah. So 1,500 pounds for the Slate. I'm all.
Yeah. So total price on the Monroney on this thing, which is not the price you would pay now if you went to the dealer and ordered one of these, but the price on the Monroney is $82,210. The base price of this truck was for the Lariat hybrid, $63,360. Or no, sorry, that would be just a base Lariat with the 2.7 liter. With the hybrid, $82,210. So $19,000 in options and destination fees. You want to take a guess at the destination fee listed on the Monroney?
24,000. No, 2,400. Sorry, not 24,000.
I feel like I can bid anything and I'll win. 24,000. I'm going to go $23,000.
It's actually $25.95 on this one.
I should go the other way.
But if you order one today, you will pay $27.95.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
So, not an inexpensive truck, but gets a reasonable fuel economy for a big full size truck.
And it's got that power thing in the back, which I think is great.
Yeah.
I think it's genius to have that, that the ability to like run all your tools without having to drag a generator. You usually typically have like a Honda generator you're hauling around. You don't need that.
7.2 kilowatt Pro Power on board. It's got the 240 volt outlet on there, so you can power your MIG welder off of that and assorted other stuff. So that's one of the advantages, and that's an advantage that they're still going to have over the new Silverado and Sierra that's launching this fall. Those are not going to have any kind of power export feature, which I thought was kind of nuts when they I asked them about that and said nope, no, we're not doing that, because they actually offer on the electric trucks, they have, I think it's 10.2 kilowatt output. Which is even more than the Lightning did, but not on the gas trucks. So,
I hooked up the saw to the F-150 E-Transit, and for the F-150 Lightning, we did a review of it a couple of years ago for when I was in Gadget. We took a TV and a Nintendo Switch, and in the middle of a field, we played Mario Kart. There's a video of it somewhere. Look on Engadget's YouTube channel.
Yeah. One other detail about this truck, the 10-speed with the hybrid system in there, at low speeds sometimes when you're maneuvering, it does feel a little clunky when it's engaging, when it's going between electric and hybrid mode. You can feel the clutch engaging, and so not always the smoothest transition between hybrid and electric mode. But it's not terrible. But compared to a lot of other hybrids, like especially the Maverick. The Maverick is completely seamless. This one, not so much.
Lot of weight. It's got so much weight it has to drag. So yeah. The heavier cars with the hybrids, like a fun thing I like to do is just tap on come to stop and just sort of tap on the accelerator, and you can feel them like they'll like gurgle a little bit because they don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Like what is this idiot doing? What is this man? Please, sir, please. No one drives like this. I'm like, I'm just doing a test, man. It's like when we had the Rivian R2 when it has the auto leveling. So if you're camping, like we auto leveled it. R1. We auto leveled it so many times that we wore out. We overheated the whole system, and so you can only drive like 20 miles an hour when it's in that when it's in auto level until it like. But we had to go up and down like 12 times for video. And then I was doing drive-bys for video. And the car was like, no, man, you got to let this thing cool down. And we didn't really, there was no point in putting it in because that's not, that is a weird extreme edge case. So it's not really something, no one's going to auto level their Rivian 15 times, 10 times in a row, and then go drive on a windy road.
Yeah.
You don't think?
Yeah. And sometimes we do stuff to cars that like it'll confuse the car or do something to it. But we can't. It's such an insane edge case because we're doing testing again and again and again and again and again.
I know that happened with like tech stuff. They're like, well, you wouldn't do it this many times. You've now confused the system because you have done this 18 times. The normal human would do this once every every couple of months. You have it's like, what do you want from me?
It's sometimes we do some stuff that like we don't really write about or talk about, to be honest, because it's not fair to the car, because the car was just like, the car's keeping you safe, and it's also like, what are you doing?
And it's not relevant that any normal human being would never be doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, it's always like weird things that we're doing testing, and especially for video, because you want to do it again and again, and because we wanted we wanted a wide shot, we wanted a medium shot, we wanted shots at the wheels, we want to shot at the front wheels, we want to shot at the back wheels, we want a shot with this, we want a shot with that, and then by the time we get all these different shots going up and down and up and down and up and down, I'm like, I'm gonna drive off, and the car's like, nah, dude, you got to drive slow now.
Got to wait for the pump to cool down.
Yeah, exactly.
Problems. Sorry.
What are you doing?
A good thing about this truck, though, lots and lots of rear seat room, huge rear seat. So it's like riding in a limo. So, and it also has a cookie table,
which is the most important aspect of any.
Well, that's why I ended with that. That's the conclusion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It has a cookie table, so go buy an F-150.
I do like the old school like hammer like shifter.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to have that. They just people like it, and it folds down so you can get the cookie table. So,
yeah, you press a button, folds itself down into the console, then you fold out the cookie table.
If you stop the car and it's not in park, if you turn it off, it'll automatically move to the park position on its own.
Oh,
I mean, you shouldn't do
that.
Yeah, I did it once.
I'll have to go try that.
I know people who will turn their car. They'll leave it in park and then they'll just turn the car off. Yeah. Or not, I'm sorry, in drive, and they'll just turn, especially with EVs, they're like, it doesn't matter. And they'll turn the car off. So I'm like, and then one day I actually did it, and I watched it go click, 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 click. But in the olden days, if you had an automatic and you were in drive, if you tried to, the car wouldn't turn off. You're like, what's going on?
You're like, I've been sitting here so long, I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to put it in park, and then it'll turn off. So anyway.
Yeah, sometimes in EVs, like
olden times,
like in our EV6,
olden time,
because it's so quiet. And some EVs you drive, they don't have a stop start button. You just get in and press your foot on the brake and put it in gear, and then you get out. The EV6, you do actually have to shut it down. Sometimes I have pulled into the garage with the car, hit the park button, and it got out. It's like, why is everything still on? It's like, oh, shit, forgot to hit the off button.
Exactly.
Yeah. Womp womp.
All right. So that's the F-150 PowerBoost hybrid Lariat 4x4 FX4. Too much stuff. Too many names. Let's move on. Let's stick with Ford for a minute. So Ford has a new patent that called start for something called they're calling start inhibit. They have not yet implemented this on any of their vehicles, but what it does is it allows you to use your Ford Pass app as an inhibitor to prevent the car from starting. Even if somebody gets into the car with the key, they can't start it because you've disabled it through the app, which might be good. If you have teenage drivers that you don't want them going off for a ride in your car. They might grab the key out of the drawer or off the wall or wherever you store your keys, or out of your pocket or your purse. And, if you turn on the start inhibit, they're not going anywhere. Downside of this, potentially, is if nefarious folks were to get into Ford's back-end systems, they could potentially disable an entire fleet of cars.
So my
big deal.
my issue with this is that it's probably this. If you are in an abusive relationship and you decide to leave that abusive relationship and you leave in this vehicle, the person who is the abuser can stop. If you stop for food or for gas or whatever, that person can turn off your car remotely. So you have to go in.
If they're still on your account.
Which they likely they are. Abusive relationships really typically the person sort of takes over everything, is very invasive into your life. There is a way to turn off the network connection, but the person who's in this relationship, typically it's a high stress situation. You're like, I'm leaving. Meanwhile, a criminal is going to do a lot of research, and they're going to say, oh, I can get into this car. I can go in and go here, 4 buttons, turn off network connection. Boom. No one can stop me. I'm king of the Fords.
King of the Fords.
Yeah. I think for fleets, okay, you're going to fire a guy while he's on his lunch break. Dude, you're fired. I'm taking off in the car. No, you're not. But I see this I think there's I mean, I see why people think this, people will be like, oh, this is a great idea. I see the very real downside of someone trying to a very controlling situation. So that's my 2 cents about this. I think and also if you're, when we bought what did we buy? I don't know. We bought a car, and it was when we got our Kona EV, and they're like, oh, we have a tracker in the car. I'm like, I'm not paying for that. I was like, no, it'll track the car. And I'm like, what do I care? It's not a classic car. If it gets stolen, you know whose problem that is? That's the insurance problem. That's insurance's problem. That's not my problem. I don't care. They're like, but I'm like, no, I'm not paying. So they kept trying to talk it. They got down from $1,700 to $150, and I was like, no. But at the end of the day, it's a Kona electric. It's a new car. It's not, it's not a classic car. It's not worth millions that I need to put a tracker on it. And then also the Hyundai app also tracks the car. We'll tell you where the car's at if you really want to know. But yeah, it's a new truck. If you have your tools in there, I understand, but you also have insurance.
Yeah.
It's I mean, cool. Yeah, you can track your. It's to me, it's almost like security theater in some way. Like, hey, you can stop the car, and I'm like, okay. But also with the Ford app, you could probably find the car like I can with the Hyundai app. I don't own a Ford, so I don't know. So you could just be like, hey, police, go there, and then
I mean, GM launched this in OnStar in 2008. There's stolen vehicle recovery, where if your car is stolen, you can call the cops and say, hey, my car's stolen, and then call OnStar, and they can basically shut down the car remotely. Yeah. They've had this for almost 20 years.
Yeah. So it's I always think of the unintended consequences of stuff like this, and the unintended consequences typically are people, and it's more likely that's there's abusive relationships where people are trying to leave versus like someone stole your F-150.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking
down
of buying
Robbie,
cars,
just bringing everyone down again.
Yeah. Speaking of buying new cars, I almost forgot to ask Nicole what the status of her car shopping journey was.
I have chosen a vehicle.
Yeah.
I have purchased, it's being made, a BMW M340i X-Drive.
Nice.
Yay.
So
Nice
I
choice.
have this sporty little BMW sedan. I've actually always wanted a BMW. I don't know why I just didn't start there to begin with. But I finally...
You wanted the adventure of an electric Jeep.
No, I have an electric Jeep.
Do you know what? I had to call them, Jeep, or their customer service line, because they will not stop sending me notifications. It's deleted. I deleted my account. I deleted the app. I deleted everything. But somehow I'm getting notifications every time someone charges it. And I'm like, this has got to stop. So I called them like, is somewhere you still have it linked to me? Guy's like, let me look. Oh, yeah. Wait, hold on. First, I have to activate your account again. Then I can go in and remove this one spot where your email is. So then I have like 5 emails. Your account's been activated. Your account has had an email removed. Your account has been deactivated. Your account. I'm like, oh, my God. So I think I'm finally done with a Jeep.
So you
But I
would
did
get
buy... What?
So you would get an email every time whoever this vehicle is now out in the space. Did it tell you where the car was when it would charge, or you just say car charging?
I think I could have clicked on it, but because my account is technically deleted, it doesn't take you anywhere.
Oh, okay.
I know there's some logic right there, but
delete.
it would be like multiple. Charging started, charging stopped, charging started, charging stopped, charging started, charging stopped. I get probably half a dozen notifications of it stopping and starting at a time, and then I wouldn't hear anything for a couple of weeks, and then half a dozen notifications, and then I wouldn't hear anything. I don't know what's happening, but I think I finally got rid of that, and I finally have my BMW is all ordered and ready to go, and does not have a plug. It just has, you put the thing in the tank and you fill it up with gas, and that's it. And I'm very happy about it. I had a fabulous test drive when I went down to the other dealership, and the guys were really nice, and I can't wait for but it's going to be a little bit, because they're actually like taking one in production and giving me exactly the color and exactly the things that I want. So I don't think I'll have it till probably September. I'm guessing September. I'm slated for the 35th week of production, which I think is like the end of August or something. Or middle of August.
Did you wait, where is it built? Where's the is it built in Germany?
Munich, I think.
Munich, I think.
Did you think about doing the pickup in Munich and drive around and then?
I mean, I could, but then I have to get it over to the U.S. Don't you have to get it?
No, they take care of the whole thing is taken care of. There's a whole like system they have set up.
Yeah, they have a factory delivery program.
Yeah, nah. I just wanted to come to the U.S.
Like I've been to Germany. Germany's less exciting for us. That's sad.
Yeah. No, I love Germany, but I just wanted to come.
No, we like Germany. You're like, nah, it's fine. I don't need to go.
I want it to come to my house. I want it to be here. I want a big red bow. I don't even know if BMW does red bows, and no one's giving it to me as a gift. I'm buying it for me. It's my own gift.
Aww.
But which I'm happy about. But yeah. So and it's blue. It's Portimao, I think is
Portimao blue.
Portimao blue.
That's a great color.
It's Portimao blue, and it has a Tacora red is the interior, which is kind of like a dark red. And it has red brake calipers because duh. So yeah, so I'm very excited about my new BMW that I've always wanted.
Yay.
So week 35 is the week of August 24th.
Yeah, so sometime in September it will.
Yeah, because it's going to take a few weeks to get on a boat and be shipped over.
Exactly. I'll have it in time for fall to take it on a nice little drive through New England with the little sunroof open, moonroof, whatever, and the cool fall weather and the leaves blowing around and me going zoom, zoom, zoom.
What is the difference between sunroof and moonroof? I've been an automotive journalist for a very long time. I've been a car enthusiast for a very long time. I've never actually thought about it until just now. What is the difference?
Strangely enough, typically a sunroof refers to a panel in your roof that can move back and open up, but it's a solid panel. And a moonroof is a glass panel, so you can see through it.
Oh, okay.
A sunroof A sunroof traditionally refers to an opaque metal or fabric panel that can be popped up, slid open, or removed. A moonroof is a special type of sunroof. This is like every bourbon is a whiskey, but every whiskey's not a bourbon, or however it goes. Because a moonroof is technically a type of sunroof.
All
but
right.
it cannot be but slid back or tilted open, and it's made of glass.
MOON. That spells moon.
So that's
Uh,
it's a moonroof.
Look at all the things we've learned today.
Look
And then in the chat, Adam Jacowenko said, I have a Mach-e, and yes, the Ford app shows you real time where the vehicle is. I mostly use it to remember where I parked.
Good job.
That's the
Thank you, Adam.
that is a real problem for us when we have cars. We're like, wait, what did I drive today?
My problem is always at the airport, because not only do I not remember what car I parked at the airport, I have 52 different places that I have parked. So now I have to take a picture of the car. And then I take a picture of the nearest post. I'm like, you're looking for this car at this post.
I take a little picture of the number, the car, and then the parking space number, because the parking space number is based on the what floor it is of the place.
You don't
I
get
park.
parking space numbers. You just get a post
What?
that says like 6AA or 7AA.
Oh.
It's like, and there's 7AA through KK, which is one elevator, and then 7 like LL to
What?
this is a different elevator. And then if you're on the highest floors, you got to go to a further elevator, and then you still have to go up, and there's the AA and KK. And Logan Airport is the most complicated parking.
I sing a little song to myself about the floor as I'm walking to the elevator, and then I'll remember later. If I sing a little song to myself, I remember a lot of things. So if you ever see me just walking along, humming to myself,
a song about the parking garage, or just any random song?
it's just a little like, I'm on level 5, and then I just get in the thing. So if you ever see me walking to an elevator in a parking garage and my little head's bopping back and forth, well, my giant head is bopping back and forth, you know that I'm remembering where I parked.
This is one of the nice things about living here in the Detroit area. A lot of the times when I'm traveling, I get that coordinated with when I'm swapping cars. And so usually I just leave the car at Quick Park, which is one of the off airport parking facilities here at Detroit Metro Airport, where the fleets keep all their, have their cars for people that are coming in or going. And so I leave the car at Quick Park. They have an area up at the front for the press cars.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I come back, I just walk into the office, grab a set of keys out of the drawer. They used to ask us for ID, and they would hand us the keys. Now they just have them in the office there. You just walk in, grab the envelope with your keys, and walk out, and the car's right there, and don't have to remember anything.
They moved like companies here in the Bay Area, like where, and I haven't done a swap at an airport in like a couple years at this point. And the new company, I did it like I was like the first person to swap,
way off the airport.
And
now,
I got it's like way off the airport. And the person was like, wait, what? Like they was so new when I did it last time, and it was like 11 p.m., midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. We just come back from, I think, Japan when I was getting the car, and it was just like, I'll forget it. So now I just drive my own car. I just take Bart. I'm like I have a car swap while I'm gone in LA this week, and I'm just like, you know what? But they're bringing me 2 cars next week, and I'm just like, I'm not even gonna because I was like, oh, maybe I should do a car swap, and now I'm like, no, that's because they have to come to my house anyway for at least one of the cars, so they might as well drop both of them off.
Nice. All right. Let's carry on. So do you guys remember the VW thing?
Yep.
Yes, I saw one the other day. I saw one in California, and he was driving along we were near Marina Del Rey. He was driving along in a little VW thing, and it was fabulous. These 2 kind of youngest guys, and the car went like 3 miles an hour. It barely drove. It was hilarious, but it was really cool.
There's somebody in my neighborhood that's got one.
Yeah.
An orange one. So on the Autopian, somebody who writes there called The Bishop has an article, how it's titled, How I'd Redeem Volkswagen with a Revived Range Extended Thing.
Is the Bishop like the Macalope from like Mac Life?
Probably.
I'm going to say mean things, but I'm not going to put my name on it.
I'll put my name on it because I can't stand by the courage of my convictions. Okay.
Come on. Are you the Bishop, Sam?
It may. No, I'm not the Bishop.
All right. Because I feel like bad if we're calling out Sam.
Sorry, Sam.
Actually, speaking of that, there used to be back in the day. There used to be somebody who posted on Facebook and some automotive media groups that went by the name Autoblog.
I remember that.
And it was OTTO Blopnik, and it was the stories were written very much in the vibe of Jalopnik, and kind of snarky, but they were all parodies, and so he would whoever this person was, we never did find out who Otto Blopnik was, whether it was male or female or otherwise. But they would write these stories and actually referring to real people, in automotive media or PR, but have a modified version of their name, and the posts were hysterical, and the thing is, some of them actually referenced real behind the scenes stuff that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Without specifically naming. And one time, while I was working at Ford, I was actually asked if I was Otto Blopnik, because there was stuff in there that I knew about that it was published, and I swear it was not me. I could not write funny stuff like that. That I can't write in that style. And that's what I told him. I wish I was, but no, it's not me. I have no idea who it was. Never did find out who it is. I have had some ideas about who it might be, but clearly people in the industry were feeding information to whoever this person was.
Whoever it was, Otto Blopnik.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you know Otto, or who Otto was, send us an email at feedback@wheelbearings.media, and we won't out them publicly, but I'd love to know.
I think
anyway,
you don't need to. I mean, it's pretty easy to figure. I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on, I'll do it. Give me a second, and then I'm like, no, I don't need to dox people.
Yeah.
Like John stopped.
So anyway, enough of that diversion into Facebook history. Otto, has some pretty cool renderings here of a revived VW thing. So for those that don't know what the thing was, it was based on a Beetle chassis. It had kind of a corrugated metal body to it, and was designed. It came out after people started making dune buggies based on Beetles, and it was slow. It was kind of goofy looking, but it was fun, and people have a hankering for it. And so the bishop, gives an idea of reviving the thing, but doing it as an EREV. And maybe it could be done using parts from Scout.
Maybe
that could work. Is it going to have more than the 46 horsepower of the original and something a little more robust than a 4-speed manual?
Yeah, I think it would be a little more powerful than the original thing.
Yeah, I don't think it is. Yeah. If they couldn't let's to be honest, they couldn't get the Samba right.
Yeah,
they just. This would hey, we're going to do this, and then they get a lot of people excited, then they make them wait 8 years, and then they bring it out with technology that's 5 years old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, it probably won't happen, but let us know if you think you'd like to see it happen.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool. I mean, I doubt it, but I think it would be lovely.
More convertible EVs. That's all I care about.
Yeah. So last week we talked about the Fiat Topolino officially coming to the U.S. market. And this week there was a story about Abarth possibly creating their own version of the Topolino with a little more power. Because remember, the Topolino is this tiny little 2-seat car. Well, actually, not even really a car. It's electric. Only has a 19-mile-an-hour top speed.
25, and if it's for free, but you got to wait for it.
Yeah. And this Abarth Topolino that they're saying might get built, kind of has the look of an Abarth, but
it's so cute.
and it has a higher top speed of all the way up to 25 miles an hour.
Well, that's the regular one. You can get 25 in the regular one too.
No,
It's a
I think
free-
it's only 19.
No, you can get the free kit. Like they have for
okay.
free. You can there's a conversion to make it 25, but it won't be available I think until 2027.
Okay.
Yeah, this is less. It just looks cooler, I guess. And that's not the actual car. It's just somebody went on ChatGPT. And,
Yeah, just a render.
Yeah,
Just came up with an idea.
Yeah.
It could look like this.
All right. Let's see. So I know one of the things people complain about with the Polestar 4 was the absence of a rear window, which was the least of my complaints with the Polestar 4. But now, apparently, they're working on a version of the Polestar 4 with a rear window, but it's the Autocar is calling it the Polestar 4 SUV, but it's a wagon.
It's a wagon.
It's just a long roof version of the Polestar 4.
It's a wagon.
Yeah.
It's a wagon.
Man,
Yeah.
we're never getting this thing.
No, we're not getting any Polestars.
Yeah, we're not getting it.
Nope.
It's a shame because I actually like this one.
Do you know anybody who bought
Yeah, it
one?
looks cool.
I know people who were trying to buy actively because they were at such a discount now, and Volvo's still around, and Polestar's technically still around. It's just not around here. Do you know anyone who's purchased one since the announcement of its imminent US demise?
I think they're knocking like 25 grand off.
They can't even get one. It's like they're in such high demand. Like demand we could have used a few months back, probably is what they're all thinking.
Yeah, but then Polestar would have been losing even more money and had more incentive to get out of the US market.
Yeah.
And then there's a company called Horse, which is a joint venture between Renault and Geely. So, a few years ago, Renault combined all of their various powertrain units into one business unit. Geely did the same thing over in between China and Sweden with Volvo and all of their other brands, combined those into one. And then they created a joint venture between those two called Horse Powertrain. And they have shown a new range extender hybrid powertrain that is the first of this type to use an axial flux motor. So, there are some vehicles on the road with axial flux motors. They're relatively new. Basically it's a different format of the electric motor, and it's much more power dense. Makes a lot more power. So the AMG GT 4-door EV that I think you drove it, right, Robbie? Or you talked?
They let me sit in it. I didn't get to drive it.
They
let me drive. They drove me around in it, and then unfortunately, like most of the video of me sitting in it just disappeared into the ether. Like and so the only part. So there's a video of me when we were doing a burnout, but there's like a big chunk of video of me in the car talking with the driver, and we're driving around, and it feels really nice, and but it's gone. It's lost in the universe. I don't know. We don't know what happened to it. So anyway, yeah, it's a fun car.
According to Horse, the axial flux motor makes 63% more power than a radial flux motor of the same size, meaning a total of 141 horsepower, which is pretty good for a hybrid.
For a hybrid, that's fantastic.
Yeah. We will, of course, not see this anytime in the foreseeable future. Well, actually, you know what? We might, because Geely's going to use these things as well. Something like this could end up in a future Volvo, possibly.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
All I can see is that it's called a D20, and I want it to be a die. Like you roll a D20.
Roll it. roll for.
It's a D20. I don't know.
It's a D20.
All right. We have also previously talked about some of the China-only Volkswagen EV models that they revealed last year, and are starting to build now. Some of these have been developed in partnership with some Chinese OEMs, including Xiaopeng. And they have a Model 3 sized, smaller mid-sized sedan called the Unix 07 that is using Xiaopeng's electrical architecture and some other components and some software from those guys. Currently only available in China, but apparently Volkswagen is thinking about building at least a couple of these models in Germany for sale in Europe, which would be interesting because they also have their partnership with Rivian they have their joint venture with Rivian for Rivian's software and electronic architecture. And that's supposed to be going into like 30 different Volkswagen models, Volkswagen Group models, by like 2030 or 2031, starting with the ID Polo, and some other models next year. And if they start building these Xiaopeng-based EVs in Europe, I wonder what that would potentially mean for their relationship with Rivian.
I mean, they paid Rivian a lot of money. I think they're just throwing everything at the wall. They're just going to try whatever they can. They're partnering with everyone because they've, it's really, it's hard to make EVs, which they, especially software, which I think, when we all drove the ID4, the first 6 months, the software was just absolute trash. And, it got better, but it wasn't, so I think Volkswagen needs help.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. And this is how they can at least, get their cars in the folks' hands, whether it's via Rivian or via Xiaopeng, that's good for Volkswagen, because at the end of the day, they can say, you bought a Volkswagen and now maybe you'll buy another Volkswagen later on. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Hopefully.
That's the idea anyway.
Well, speaking of Rivian, I had a chance to drive the R2 this week.
Oh, cool.
Only had a little bit of time. We only had about an hour with the car, but we actually spent more time than that at Rivian's Tech Center here in Plymouth, talking with various engineers, including Wasim Ben Said, who's the chief software officer for Rivian, and also the co-CEO of that aforementioned Rivian Volkswagen joint venture. And I got a demo from Wasim of the new UI in the R2, which has been changed quite a bit from the R1. The software is updated, but the big thing they changed functionally is the halos on the steering wheel. So the R1 has these little rollers and then toggle switches that allow you to control some of the stuff from the steering wheel. But the R2 has what they're calling these halos. So it looks like big round dials embedded in the steering wheel spokes. And at first, it seemed like kind of a goofy idea. But when they explain how these things work, it's actually really neat. It actually works really well. So the halos, you can rotate them with your thumbs, so the edges are knurled. And so you can scroll up and down through lists, and you can have stuff on the instrument cluster. So the R2 has the same 10-inch display in front of the driver and a 15-inch center stack display. But then with the halos, you can roll them up and down, and they have haptic actuators in them. So when you're going through lists, it actually clicks as you go through each one. So you don't, so you
like an
you
iPod.
have some, like an old iPod. Yep. And then also you can press forward on either of the halos with your thumbs as a click. And then you can also pull back on the halos with your fingertips, so it's like using a paddle shifter. So again, depending on what you're doing, what mode you're in, it can go either direction. And then you can also push in or pull out on the edges of the halo. So it's like a rocker, to do different things, so if there's something in the instrument cluster, or you want to go to a sub menu, you can just pull or push, as needed. It's kind of complicated to explain, but it works really well. And I'm gonna drop a video in here that I did with Wasim, and then you guys can watch that, and then be right back after that.
And then we will walk customers through some of the main functions. Digital key, the car comes with digital key similar to the R1 Gen 2. This is what we introduced last year. It's a native OS digital key, so you have it directly from your wallet, for example, on the iPhone or on Android. You can also
using UWB or
it uses ultra wideband.
Okay.
And then it also has backups with Bluetooth Low Energy, and then it has also a backup with NFC with up to 5 hours in case the battery dies. The native support for Apple Watch as well comes with the solution. Then getting situated, let's do this later. And then, okay, one of the moments, which are really some of the playful moments, is finding a name for the R2. Let's call it R2D2. And then the same name will be replicated in the mobile app. And then some of the new features that we have introduced with the R2. So this is the highway assist, similar features to what we have today on the R1 Gen 2. So it's
the universal hands-free.
Universal hands-free, and then by starting end of year, it will be able to do point-to-point.
Okay.
And then beginning of next year, we will start having the new hardware with our in-house chip, the wrap, and then the LiDAR, which will be capable of doing eyes off.
So the point-to-point capability is going to be on the current hardware. So if somebody buys one today, they'll get that point-to-point capability.
Correct. Okay. Correct. Driver display. Okay, we'll do this later, and then I'll show you that manually. Okay, so some of the really the new controls that we are introducing here is the halo wheels. So this is really a way for us to add more physical controls to the car, but then without necessarily cluttering the entire interface. So the way to think about it is it's a haptic wheel, which is really software defined. So the menus changed based on the context. So in this case, for example, here I'm changing the fan, and actually you can touch it. You will see that
you get that click.
You get that click. And then if I am basically in temperature, you can touch it again, and you will see that the detent is different. And it's really like it's that like that tactile feedback, but then also the fact that you have a configurable detent, which adds some playfulness, and then also the variability of the different functions. Similarly here, I can have volume, and then if I click here, I can push from the back. It's like a pedal shifter, and then I can switch drive mode. And you see here, I have switched to sport. Similarly, I can switch to conserve directly by one click using these buttons. And then similarly here, I can switch menus, and then I can go from music, I can go to the energy widget. It gives you a lot of flexibility to access menus directly from the UI.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting approach to the hardware. That remains software defined, but gives you that tactile feeling.
Exactly.
And I think it's probably easier. We'll find out when we drive it, but it seems like it should be easier to use while you're driving without looking at it, compared to having even buttons on the steering wheel.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, that's exactly the idea of like really the solution that we try to propose here, which is exactly like reduce that cognitive load, make the features easily accessible with just one tap. but then at the same time, add playfulness and add a tactile feedback, which is configurable, flexible, and really adds more enjoyment to the overall experience. Similarly, some of the some of the new features that we have in the UI is a redesign, and the guiding principle there is make it easier to access, make it more convenient. So the menu bar on R1 was a horizontal menu bar. Now it's a vertical menu bar, make it closer to the driver. And then we're introducing these flexible floating panels. So this is a panel that I have here as a driver, but then you have the same as a passenger. And actually, I can send it to you. And this gives control to both the driver and the passenger so that they enjoy the experience. And this menu auto configures automatically. If you're in drive, it goes to music. If you're in park, it goes to what we call quick controls. And that gives you access directly so that you can configure things like, for example, the opening the front here or opening the tailgate.
I noticed the mirror controls are on there. Is that something you can only access while the vehicle is stationary? Or is it just it automatically comes up when you're stationary?
It automatically comes up. But then if you're, let's say you're driving and you want to access the mirrors, you can do it from here.
Okay.
Yeah, you still have that possibility, but then the automatic function is like we try to remove one click to make it easier for you.
So, then to tap the mirror, is the control then through one of the halos, or
Exactly.
Okay, that's just
this is in this case to fold the mirrors, but then if I want to, like in this case,
okay. So it's a couple of taps first, and then you adjust with the halos.
So you're absolutely right. You adjust with the halos, and then same thing. If I want to adjust the steering wheel, it's with the halos.
Yeah, the reason I asked particularly for the mirrors, less so for the steering wheel adjustment. If you're on a long drive, sometimes you're shifting your body around. You may want to adjust your mirrors while you're driving, and so having easy access to that, without having too many taps on the screen, especially, I think is important.
100%. So some of the really other simplifications that we have done to the UI is the new settings menu, which is a contextual menu. So like here, I have access to the overall configuration, updates, drivers and keys. But then if I go, for example, to music, and then I tap settings, then the music settings come up. And this is really a way, again, that same spirit to reduce the number of taps, to make it much more accessible for and much easier to access for drivers. It's settings has been one of the pain points in our current UI, the old UI. Sometimes you have to search 3, 4, 5 menus so that you get to the feature that you would like to use. All the features that we currently have on the R1, whether it's the energy app here with really accurate range prediction, telling you exactly where your energy is going, charging performance, things like gear guard with the sentry mode, with the incident cam or dash cam. All of those features are available on the R2. And then here, if I go back to music, we have native integration with Spotify, with Audible, Apple Music, Tidal, and then we are also introducing iHeart digital radio as part of the overall package.
We do have to rotate here.
Yeah, okay. Just give me 1 minute.
Yes.
And then same thing, similar to what we have with the R1, we have an integrated trip planner. So if I look for, let's say, a destination here, I want to go to Detroit. Basically, the car will automatically calculate the best route for me. It will calculate the best chargers, and then it will include our charger reliability score, which is really guiding the customers towards stations that are highly rated based on the data that we collect from the field.
So you're getting telemetry data from customers and
Correct.
developing that charging score. And then for the routing, figuring out where to charge, I assume you're also utilizing technology from a better route planner, which you acquired several years ago.
100%. That's
Okay.
exactly it, which is like I actually wanted to go to Chicago, not to Chicago Pizza.
Probably got to say Chicago, Illinois. Yeah, it's close enough. Area. There you go.
Okay, all right. So yes, so it's the ABRP route planner, which is natively integrated here with our own in-house charging score. So you see here, it's selected a Tesla, which is a charger rated A, and it's selected another Tesla, which is rated B. And we configure the route planner in a way where it only picks up stations which are A and B. Everything below, it's not included. And like the whole idea is we only want to guide customers to chargers.
Good experience.
Work. So we want to remove that entire inside.
And I'm presuming that between here and Chicago, there are no Rivian adventure stations, which is why they're not showing up.
Yes, yes.
I want to make sure you don't get behind on the next
Okay.
station. I think
All right.
All right. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So hopefully that gives you a little better idea of how the halos work. But driving this car, the halos actually give you a lot more physical input than you get with the R1. So even though, they've got, when you look at the inside of the R2, it looks much like the R2, like everything's embedded in the touchscreen. There's actually a lot more physical control than you have in the R1 thanks to those halos. And it's still not perfect.
It's
I still wish
not
they would.
something I can just like reach over and grab. I got to learn a whole new interface for things that are still happening on screen, which means I still have to look down to see what's happening.
But it's on the screen that's in front of you.
Yeah, but it's still not.
I'm
not looking at the
side.
road. Again, I can drive my BRZ, and if I want to change the temperature, I don't have to look and make sure that I'm tapping exactly where I need to do.
Yeah, but the thing is that the temperature, like I think it's for the right halo, the temperature is the default. And so you don't have to look at it. You can just scroll it up and down without looking
so
at
that
it.
makes okay. So that's better.
Yeah,
it's still learn a whole new interface. We're going super clever because we didn't want to put a couple knobs in the car.
Yeah. But like I said, after driving it for an hour, it actually feels like it works. I'm going to hopefully be getting one of these fairly soon to spend more time with it. But after an hour in the car, it came pretty naturally, pretty quickly. Unfortunately, you still have the software controlled vents.
Oh,
still a bad idea.
Why?
I know.
I just, what are we doing? Why are we being clever at the expense of things working? It's like the doors. Like I shouldn't have to explain how doors work to people. I shouldn't have to, when someone gets in the car and they're like, oh, I need to, and they're looking for the vent control, I shouldn't have to say, okay, so you need to go into here, and then you go here, and then you move your finger around, and the vent will move around. And they're like, oh, that's cool. And then 10 minutes later, like, okay, this is annoying because I want to change the vents.
How do I get back to that again if I want to adjust the vents? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, there's so many things in cars that we just don't have to explain, and now we do.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to explain. I should have to explain how to get in the car, how to get out of the car, how to adjust the vents, how to turn the radio up and down.
It's just none of this should be that hard. This is all go ahead.
It's clever for the sake of clever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They did do a lot of good stuff though with the R2. They did a lot to make it much more affordable to build, much more cost effective to build. So hopefully they can at least break even, if not make money on this thing before long. Like one interesting example is on the front wheel arches. They've got this little thing here. It says Rivian on there. It's backlit, and previously they had on the R1 they had the turn signal repeaters were on the leading edge of the wheel arch. And so they had to run wires to that and have a bulb in there. And, and then they also had a turn signal repeater in the mirror housing. And they got rid of both of those. So the one that's on the leading edge of the wheel arch is just a reflector. They got rid of the one that's in the mirror because the one that's down below now, you can see it from all over, from the front, from the side, from the back. And so they just have this one there. So they really simplified stuff like that.
That's
Also, in the structure, let's see, where is it here? They, so for the rear structure, they're using castings, but it's not just one big casting like Tesla uses or like what Ford is going to be using on the universal EV. The casting is actually made up of 3 parts that are bolted together. And
that's
so, if you have a crash, because there's 3 sections that they can easily unbolt and bolt in a new one, it makes it a lot easier to repair. They can still do, if they need to, they can still do the, do the cut and adhesive bonding, but this approach is actually even easier. And because the castings themselves are a lot smaller, you don't need these big, enormous die casting machines. You can have much smaller machines that are much more cost effective. So, a lot of stuff that they did, according to Rivian, they took 50% out of the bill of materials cost and manufacturing cost of the R2 compared to the R1. So it costs half as much to build. It does not, by the way, cost half as much to buy, but it costs half as much to build.
Which is, they got to make money.
Yeah.
I think they did a lot of, when they refreshed the R1s, I mean, they did a lot of this sort of work to make it more cost effective to build the vehicle, which is like, yay. It'd also be cost effective if you put just manual little controls on the vents.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It just seems like that'd be cheaper. I'm just saying. I don't know why you don't want to do that.
They also changed the front, the suspension, so they got rid of the air springs. Now it's got steel coil springs all around, struts in the front instead of a multi-link or a control arm front suspension, so that's cheaper. They got a structural battery pack, so there's a big hole where the floor pan should be in the body in white. So again, took a lot of cost out of there. But you know what they kept? They got a 10 cubic foot frunk.
Yay!
Yay!
A nice deep frunk. You can actually put a backpack with your laptop in and assorted other stuff.
I was just like, I'll just put my backpack up here, and I was like, I can't close this.
I guess I
was like,
won't.
what are we doing? I'm like, it's again, if you don't have a frunk on your or if you have a tiny one and it's always going to be tiny, fine, whatever, it's fine. I was very excited when I went to the Slate thing, how big the frunk was, because I'd seen the videos.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, whatever, and they're like, oh, you can put like two carry-ons and a backpack in there, and I'm like, oh, there's so much room in here. I could put a guitar. That's my thing. I could put a guitar amp in here. That was like my big thing. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
It's great if you have it. If you don't, then you're like, all right, fine. But then to have it and be like, psych, take it away like Lucy with the football. That's sad.
Yeah.
Like Lucy with the football.
And of course, they also have lots of accessories. They've got a new version of the camp kitchen now. So instead of sliding out of the gear tunnel, because there's no gear tunnel on the SUV, they have this thing now, which is like it's a big tray with 2 inductive burners in it. There's a drawer. There's a prep surface on there to prep your food. And it now only costs $1,400.
That's better than $5,000, but not as cheap as like a cheap hibachi you can just buy.
Where does it go? Does it?
Yeah, like what are the 2 poles? Like what's going on?
In the sides of that image, where does it go, Sam?
You can put it in your cargo area in the back.
So does it like latch in there with those 2 poles?
Yeah.
What's the deal
I
with
can't
the
remember
poles?
what the deal with the poles
Yeah,
was.
what's the deal with the poles, Sam?
What's the deal with them? You can't remember.
I can't remember that.
All right,
but
there's a lot of room back there, though.
Yeah,
That's nice.
there's a lot of cargo space.
Yeah.
You got like 27 cubic feet behind the seats, and then with the seats folded down, I think it's like 79 cubic feet. It's big. There's a lot of space in the back. It's only a 2-row. This thing is about a little, just slightly more than a Toyota RAV4 in terms of size. It falls in between a RAV4 and a CRV size wise. So it's a good size. It's a nice size. It's like almost 16 inches shorter than an R1S. But they're launching with the R2 Performance only, so that's what they're delivering now. This fall, they're going to launch the R2 Premium, and then next spring they will launch the R2 Standard. And so the R2 Performance and the Premium are 330 miles of range. And then there will be a version of the standard with a slightly smaller battery with like 270-ish miles of range.
275.
The R2 Premium or the R2 Performance 500 or 656 horsepower, which is way more than you need. If you don't absolutely need one right now, just wait for the Premium. It's like 430, which is still a lot. And it's actually really nice to drive. I actually enjoy driving this a lot more than driving the R1 because the R1 has always felt kind of stiff. The suspension, the ride quality was never great.
Mm-hmm.
And the R2 is much more comfortable ride, even on the, even with the performance with the 22-inch wheels. The steel spring suspension is much better than the air springs on the R1. It's like 9.6 inches of ground clearance, which again, probably not going to, take on the Rubicon Trail, but, not many of us do that. For most people, 9.6 is going to be way more than you ever need.
Yeah. I mean, at 44 for the starting price for the standard, I mean, 275 miles of range, rear wheel drive. That's a good price for, I think, Rivian. I like to call Rivian the Patagonia of EVs because it's very fancy outdoorsy stuff. And the problem with the R1 and the R2, beyond like everything being in the screen, was the price. I'm like, these are cool. No way in hell I could ever afford one.
Yeah.
Well, even in the R2 standard, we didn't get to drive the R2 standard, but they had one in the design studio with the interior that's going to be on that one. The interior is still really nice. So on the Premium and the Performance, you get wood trim, get birch veneer trim on the dashboard and on the doors. On the standard, it's a fabric trim on there, but you still get the same Advantex faux leather stuff everywhere, and it still feels really even at that 45,000, actually like 46-ish with destination and everything. It still feels way more premium than Teslas that cost twice as much.
Yeah. And the rear window slides down so you can put your surfboard back there, which I'm like big fan of. I need to start surfing again.
Yeah. So you can drop down the rear window, and then there's a wiper for the rear window as well, which is embedded in the top surface of the tailgate.
That's cool. That's clever.
Yeah, I don't have a picture of it here, but it's a pretty cool design. So this vehicle looks really promising. As long as they can build them and not mess up too much, I think it'll do okay.
Yeah, I know a lot. A lot of people are excited about the R3, which is we don't even have a timeline really yet, sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
But
probably more like 2028.
Yeah, but I think at 45 again for a starting, it's 46, so 50,000 for
even the R2 even the Performance with the launch package, which is basically loaded. It's got everything on it. It's like $60,000 all in, including destination. So
yeah. And it's got a light. It's got a flashlight in the door. So
yeah, the flashlight comes standard on the Premium and the Performance. It's not on the standard. You can also swap that with a portable battery pack that can also serve as a hand warmer, so it fits into the same slot in the back edge of the door.
That's cool.
Yeah, so you get like a cylindrical hand warmer.
Does it have electric doors?
Yes, it has electromechanical latches.
Why?
I know.
What are we doing, people?
Stop.
I know.
Just mechanical doors. Just I don't want to explain. Okay, hit the button. It'll let you out.
Yeah.
Deep sigh.
All right, let's carry on.
I'm all getting excited. I'm like, okay, this stuff, and then into like the doors. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, there's just there's fewer of the annoyances that were on the R1, but there's still some there.
There's still some. They're
moving in the right direction.
Yeah, they'll get there. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Like one day they'll be like, I'm just gonna make a mechanical door, and then a lot of people get angry. They're like, but our brand, and then everyone else will be all, yeah, but I don't want to explain to someone how to get in and out of my car.
All the time. Every time someone gets in or out. Yep.
Volvo is apparently planning to bring back sedans and wagons to their U.S. lineup, which they discontinued
Yay.
just a couple of years ago.
Woohoo!
New 60 series, but they're going to be electric.
Ooh. See, a Volvo wagon, an electric wagon makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it's a
it does.
long, there's a lot of space
Why?
in there. But is anyone going to buy it besides people like me?
That's it.
No.
I don't know how. Is
I mean, the
anyone
V60 and the V90, like, were out. I love those cars. I really like them. And then my cousin bought one. My apparently all my cousins are good car people. Like one of my
Listen to
cousins
you.
bought the other one that works at Mercedes. He bought an Odyssey. Like the one that has a ranch. He has a Super Duty F250, but he has a ranch with trailers and stuff that he has to use. But he also has like a BZ for just cruising around town.
Yeah, I mean the V60 is one of my. I think it's my favorite Volvo of the past decade was the V60. Just the right size. The V90 was a little big for my
for the family.
for my needs, but the V60 was a great size, enormously roomy on the inside, drove fantastic. But yeah, they'll be bringing back the 60 series sedan and wagon by 2028 is what they're saying.
All right. Well, hopefully the kids now are excited about wagons. If you're an adult and you have children or a parent, I guess if you're an adult and you have children, you're a parent, guardian, whatever. Teach your kids that the wagons are good. That's your only job, really. I mean, you can teach them how to drive a manual as well. That's another important thing to teach them. But teach them that wagons are good.
Let's see. The Nissan Altima.
Did we lose Nicole?
No, I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Your picture's gone. It's just a big N.
Oh,
Oh, I see her. I see Nicole.
Oh, I don't. Okay, maybe it's my
I'm like, wait,
computer.
no, I'm here. I didn't
right.
say anything at that moment. I'm here.
Yeah.
Hi, Robbie. I don't know why you can't see me. I'm here.
The,
Really, I'm just an
Who
N.
knows? Technology.
Okay.
If we had mechanical.
Nissan has apparently given up on the Altima, though.
Oh, it was yeah.
Yeah.
Meh.
I mean, like, sad, but okay, fine. I'm not that sad. I can't pretend I'm that sad. It's just an Ultima.
It's fine. No one's
They're apparently going to focus on the Sentra instead, which is more
makes
affordable.
sense. Yeah.
Which is actually fine. Yeah.
Nissan makes a good, inexpensive car.
They do.
The Ultima doesn't need to be.
You can-
the Ultima is
you can
like
buy-
it's like the Malibu. Like, why does that? It's a car that you end up stuck with when you get a rental car. Those are the.
When
When you're the last one in line and they say, "Here you go," and you go out, and the last car sitting there on the lot is a
What I'm
Malibu.
driving. Yeah.
You're driving an Ultima or a Malibu, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
If I got here earlier, I could have got a Sonata.
But no, I was too slow. They
No.
couldn't get the plane up to the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So far this year, Altima sales are down 32% compared to last year. And so they're going to focus on the Sentra instead. And you can get a decently equipped Sentra for under 25 grand. So
Nissan makes a good and expensive car. If you're looking for a first car or a second car or a car for your kid or whatever, or you just need an inexpensive car, man, check out those Nissans. They'll surprise you. Nissan,
not bad at all.
They'll surprise you. I don't know if that's what they want to do with their marketing
That's
budget.
not what they're going for, but that's what they got.
Nissan, it's better than you think.
yeah. Let's see. North of the border. Well, actually, if you go to Detroit, it's actually south from Detroit,
Which is bonkers if you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, in Canada, we talked previously about them doing a trade deal with China earlier this year, which would allow Chinese companies to bring in up to 49,000 EVs a year into Canada. And then, longer term, they want to get them to start building cars in Canada because, they realize that under current U.S. trade policies, eventually all of the U.S. automakers are just going to pull up stakes and just move their production to the States. So some of the first Chinese EVs coming to Canada. Chery, BYD, they've both said they're going to do it. And Dongfeng this week has also been showing off what they plan to launch in Canada. So they've got a site set up for Dongfeng Canada, which has 6 models, 3 of which are plug-in hybrids, 3 are EVs. And part of that deal with China is that half of those 49,000 a year that they're allowed to import have to be priced under $35,000 Canadian, which is about 25,000 US. And so 2 of the 3 EVs that Dongfeng is showing are sub 35,000 Canadian cars. There's the Box 01 EV, the Vigo EV, and then there's the E-Prime 007, I think is how you say it, which is a mid-size sedan. The Box 01 is a little hatchback about the size of a Hyundai Venue. The Vigo is almost the same size, almost identical in size to a Nissan Kicks. And then the sedan is a little bit larger. But the Box 01 and the Vigo are going to be sub $25,000 US.
Cool.
With up to 430 kilometers, so about 270-ish miles of range for the Box, and the Vigo's about just shy of 300 miles of range. Pretty decent looking little cars.
It looks like but it's also like very Japanese where there's no buttons inside.
Yeah. Well, that's the way a lot of Chinese stuff is.
I'm sorry, Chinese, not Japanese.
Yeah.
No,
It does look good.
Well,
though.
these are Chinese cars, so you would expect them to be kind of Chinese-like. Here's the Box 01. Pretty basic, but cheap, and I think Canadians will go for them. And
I want to
then
buy
there's the
that will get me to buy an electric.
Yeah.
Here's the Vigo, aka the Hyundai,
yeah,
the Kia. This is the Kia Vigo.
yeah.
Look at the lights on that. Exactly. That is a Kia.
It does have a very
Star map
current
lighting.
generation Kia vibe to it.
Yeah, it does have a very Kia. The Kia Vigo.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the pay on Jalopnik, and one of them is the E-Pi 007.
Yeah, I saw that E-Pi 007. That's the one that comes equipped with like the caltrops that go shooting out the back and the oil
Pew, pew,
slick.
pew.
Yeah.
Thank you for the sound effect. Exactly.
And
what
the M Hero 2 looks cool. And the Volvo, all these cars are pretty cool.
I know they
There's
do.
there's like a photo.
Yeah, the M Hero is a plug-in hybrid, 505 kilowatts, so about almost about 650, 670 horsepower, about 800 miles of combined range.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And there's also the E-Prime
music.
008, which is a minivan-ish thing.
Minivan.
Yeah, that looks cool. Yeah,
And the
Canada's getting
Voya Dream, which is more of a
Voya
luxury minivan, like the the Toyota Alphard and
Yeah.
Nissan Elgrand and things like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Canada.
So the Canadians are going to get to get some decent cheap Chinese EVs, but what they won't be able to do if some U.S. politicians have their way is drive them across the Gordie Howe Bridge, which is finally going to open.
Is Gordie Howe a hockey person?
Yes, Gordie Howe is a Canadian-born hockey player who became famous playing for the Detroit Red Wings. So they call him Mr. Hockey. At one point in the 1980s, Gordie and 2 of his sons were all playing for the Detroit Red Wings simultaneously.
Oh, that's sweet. You could carpool to work.
Yeah. Yeah, Gordie Howe played professionally until he was like, I think he played his last professional game when he was like 60, 61. He played across 4 decades.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I am 50. Well, hell, what year is this? I'm 52, and the idea of getting on a hockey rink. I mean, I would do it, but not professionally.
Yeah.
Like, I can still do a lot of the things I did when I was in my 20s, but I'm also taking some Advil at the end of the day.
Yeah. So the Gordie Howe Bridge, they pretty much finished the bridge about a year ago. And then they've been going through, various commissioning activities. And they had finally scheduled an opening for it a month ago. and somebody in Washington decided, no, we don't want the bridge to open, because that person had gotten like several $1 million campaign donations from a guy named Matty Maroon. The Maroon family owns a trucking business and a sort of other stuff. They also happen to own the Ambassador Bridge, which is the existing bridge between Detroit and Windsor. And for the last 25-ish years, the Maroon family fought tooth and nail to prevent a second bridge from being built between Detroit and Windsor.
Because they own the bridge.
Yeah, because they own the bridge, and so they had a monopoly on the tolls. The only other way to get between Detroit and Windsor was through the tunnel, and trucks can't go through the tunnel.
Tunnels, because
Yeah, and so the Ambassador Bridge, is privately owned, and they charge, like for trucks, for heavy trucks, they charge a toll of $27 per axle, which is outrageous. Per axle.
That's like Japan prices.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
The Gordie Howe Bridge is planning to charge I think like $650 per axle.
Oh
and
my
so
gosh.
the Maroons were pissed about this. So they made
they
a big
threw bunch of
donation
money.
to the guy in Washington. And so he said, nope, we're not going to allow you to open that bridge until you give us a better deal. And part of the issue with the bridge is for years, they went back and forth. They could not come up with a deal to have the U.S. and Canada jointly pay for the bridge. And so finally, Canada just said, fine, we'll pay for the whole thing. We'll pay for it.
But we
And
get
so-
all the money?
So
Because,
Canada paid, like $6.5 billion US Canadian, so about $4.5 billion US dollars to build this bridge and to build the stuff on either side, the toll plazas and the customs facilities and everything on both sides of the bridge. And, part of the deal that they finally struck was Canada will pay for the bridge. They will collect the tolls. Use that
As
to
they
pay.
should.
Use that to pay off the debt, on the bridge and the maintenance costs for the bridge. And then once the bridge is paid for, then they would split the tolls with the U.S. or actually with Michigan, 50-50. Seems reasonable.
I wouldn't even give them that because they don't want to pay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's my bridge. I'll do what I want. Talk to the rich people down the street who are charging you $27 per axle.
Seems like a very reasonable deal.
No, that's a really great deal for Michigan.
Yeah.
They don't have to do anything, and then in like whatever decades, they start getting money from this bridge.
Right. Well, Trump wanted 50% of the tolls right up front,
But they didn't
which,
do anything.
considering they paid nothing for this bridge, is insane. So apparently the deal that they've finally struck was that the U.S. will get 50% of the profits from the tolls. So,
All right.
whatever they collect every year, they will pay the debts, pay the maintenance costs, anything that's left over, the U.S. will get 50% of that.
Okay. So does the U.S. get it, or is it like Michigan get it?
The U.S.
According to the Canadians, there's conflicting story here about exactly where the money's going. The Canadians are saying that the money will go to a economic development fund for the state of Michigan.
Okay, that's good.
We'll see how that ultimately plays out. Who actually gets the check every year?
All right.
But so now the bridge is now scheduled to open on July 27th. Which
cool.
is a week, just over a week from now, a week from tomorrow.
Well, I'm glad that the people, competition. That's
Yeah.
how,
There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't be a company and be like, no, we don't want competition. I mean, that's essentially how tech companies work. They just buy up small companies that are doing something cool and then just kill it. And they're like, haha, you're stuck on Instagram.
The Ambassador Bridge is 100 years old, and the Maroons have not spent very much money to maintain it.
Yeah.
But they're getting all that money.
They're making bank.
Yeah.
Man, they are. No wonder they're so. Well, there you go. Well, but now we got the Gordie Howe. I'm a 60-year-old man playing hockey, so I'm pretty rad. International Bridge.
And then GM, which is one of the partners in Iona. Have you used an Iona charger yet, Robbie?
No, there's one in the city and there's one in Marin, and I have them both on things to do. Maybe I'll do it today. But like they had a they had a deal like over like the holiday weekend. It was cheaper to charge at the Iona spots than it was to charge off peak. And I
Wow.
was just like, oh, I stick the
You
car
mean
over there.
like
But I
off
just
peak at home?
yeah. Then
Wow.
well, we pay a lot. Remember, my
Yeah.
off peak is 35 cents
Yeah.
per kilowatt hour.
Oof.
Yeah. So they
Another
were
reason
charging
not to live in
31.
California.
Yeah. Well, it's fine. You know, I still love California, even though
Yeah.
it's like Disneyland. You know, you got to pay a lot, but once you're inside, it's a party. So yeah, I wanted to try it out. I got to go over to either to Marin or into the city. I think probably the Marin's probably the better deal. There's a music festival in Oakland this weekend, so
Yeah, so I'll have to take a road trip one of these days down to Ohio. There's a few of them in Ohio. I was hoping when I did Operation Frodo that I might be able to use one. They're building one in Gary, Indiana, but it's not open
Gary,
yet.
Indiana, not
So-
Louisiana.
So they
I
they
watched the
started
Music
opening
Man when I
Iona
was a kid,
stations
I don't know why.
a little over a year ago. They've got 122 locations now, with
so many.
1,166 chargers. They're planning on getting to 30,000 chargers by 2030. 400 kilowatt chargers. They've got CCS and NACS charging connectors. And so GM recently announced something called Energy Pass, which is their app, that's built in. It's built into the GM apps. And like Ford Pass, you can set up your payment information in there and then go to a bunch of different chargers and just plug in and it'll charge your charge whatever payment method you put in there. And so their GM is now doing a thing for GM EV drivers. If you use Energy Pass, you'll get a 10% discount on your charging with Iona.
Cool. I
Yeah.
wonder what it costs now. I'm gonna look it up instead of paying attention to what y'all talking about.
Yeah, most of the Iona chargers locations, they're
Oh
setting
wow,
them up.
there's like 3
with-
in the city now.
Oh
There's
wow.
One, well, now there's one in the city. There's one in DC, Daly City. There's one in Pacifica. There's one in San Rafael. There's one way out in Pittsburgh. One in Altamont.
Are they all open or coming soon?
Let me see. Opening soon is the ones. I think some of them are open soon, but I think
Yeah.
the two that are the one in San Rafael is open. I know. It's 39 cents per kilowatt hour, which is way cheaper
Yeah,
than both Tesla and EA, and probably I'm assuming probably EVgo as well. That's a pretty good deal. At some point, we're gonna when you're driving down the freeway, and it tells you how much a gas station will
Mhm.
gas is $14 a gallon or whatever. We're gonna start seeing stuff like that for EV charging, because you'll be driving, you're like, well, I'm gonna go over to this place, because the first person who does it, or the first company that does it, is gonna make everyone else do it. Because they're going to be like, hey, come here, it costs this much, as opposed to like, I guess it's this much.
If nothing else, just start putting up signs so we can at least find the chargers.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, sometimes you're just like, they'll be like the little city, like in California, they'll have like at the, on the signs, they'll tell you like what's at the stop. Like there's
Yeah.
food and there's lodging, and they'll say like gas, and then they'll have like a little EV one with a little lightning bolt. But you don't know who it is. It's just like, oh, well, okay.
Could be an old 25 kilowatt charge point unit or something.
Yeah.
And then last story is there's a new class action lawsuit in California filed by a Ford, I think a Mach-e owner.
We're back to the Mach-e.
Yeah, but this doesn't really have anything to do specifically with the Mach-e. It's is suing Ford to get a refund because earlier this year the Supreme Court said that the way that the Trump administration imposed a bunch of the tariffs was illegal, and they had to give that money back. And of course, tariffs are not paid by the countries that are exporting stuff. They're paying by whoever is importing the stuff into a country. In this case, Ford, but other automakers as well. And, then they typically pass along some or all of those costs to their customers, which is one of the reasons why a lot of prices have gone up this year. Anyway, with those tariffs going away, they have now set up a process for companies to apply for refunds on the tariffs they paid. And so this Ford owner in San Diego is suing Ford to get Jason Bullock suing to get his cut of the tariff refunds that Ford is going to be getting back.
It doesn't help that Costco's like, yeah, we're going to give people, our members back our money. We'll figure it out. We're working on it. And then you're like, everyone else is like, damn you, Costco, and your $5 chicken.
And they were great. Those rotisserie chickens are fantastic for $5.
Oh, they're the best.
You can't get any hot dogs or drinks or whatever. They're like redoing it. It's this giant white.
Oh, no.
I know. I thought it was some people. And it's normally like mobbed with people. And this morning, big white curtain. I thought, some people are going to be sad when they come in and they can't get their Costco hot dog today.
I know. It's $1.50. It's just I love Costco. We got a Costco. We finally got one. We were using, like, if you get a gift card. So here's a fun thing. If you get a gift card from somebody, you can go to Costco with the Costco gift card as a non-member. And like a manager has to come over and hit a button or whatever. And so like we would get a gift card from like people for Christmas or whatever, and we go to Costco. And then we started doing just having people give us gift cards so we could go to Costco. And then finally I'm like, you know what? We go to Costco and we go to Costco enough, and I like the $5 chicken. And I was able to buy a giant sack of quinoa the other day for like a nickel. So we just finally got a Costco account. But if you're like, me and my wife are just two of us and maybe Costco doesn't quite make sense, just have one of your Costco member friends give you a gift card and you can use that. There you go. That's my Costco hack.
Can you buy Costco gift cards at places other than Costco?
Yeah, you can buy them on the. Can't you buy them like the racks at like the grocery store, the checkout?
Yeah, they have gift cards for everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't looked. So if you could find a Costco gift card at the rack for like Rite Aid and Walgreens, they always have like or other places. Get a Costco gift card and they just go to Costco.
You can directly through Costco, I guess. Oh, you can get it through the Costco shop page or any.
Yeah.
You have to have a membership to buy them. Okay, so I guess if you're there. You have to have a membership to buy one, though. So
sorry, I derailed this entire conversation about a man suing Ford for his tariff money for Costco. They don't have the chili. Do you have chili still at your Costco?
I don't know if we have chili.
They had the big tub of chili that we liked, and then
I never get that.
The last few times they've gone, it's been gone. They don't have it anymore.
Like regular food or like the hot dog food, like
at the over like near all the prepackaged food.
No, I've never. I
we just chili's so easy to make. We just make it. So
yeah, but
if anything is
good chili.
It's yummy. Like, hey, look, it's all ready for me. I'll just grab this.
Yeah. Anyway, Costco chicken. This guy wants his Costco chicken back from Ford. Is what we're back to. There we go. That's a segue back to where we're going.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. And how they work out. If Ford loses, how do they figure out how much people get back? Because they didn't pass along all of the tariff costs. The automakers,
they spread it out.
They spread it out, and they also they ate some of the cost because they weren't sure how long this was going to last. So some of it they absorbed in their profit margins. So there were cars that were built, in the U.S., but they kind of averaged out that it's kind of like they do with the destination charges. They average it out and spread it across all the vehicles, regardless of where they're built. And so this one's going to be an interesting one to watch to see how this plays out. I
mean, there's an accountant that knows exactly how much each car got in a tariff. They just, now they got to how do we do this?
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot to figure out. Somebody can figure it out. But
there's a person with really good with numbers who's like, I got this. Really and they're like, don't tell anybody All
right. Let's answer some listener emails. First up, John wrote in the stuff regarding a couple of recent topics. PHEVs. We may be the exception, but we own a Corsair PHEV and love the car. Bought it after a review by Sam a while ago. It's my wife's car. She was working from home and is now retired, but she does the majority of her driving locally and mostly drives the car as an EV around town. Yes, I'm the one who typically plugs it in, but I'm also the one who typically fills the gas tank too. But the car is great for us as we also have an alternative to our BEV Lightning if we want to use it for a road trip with fewer stops. Also, when we've been loaned an ICE Corsair, when ours was in for service, there's a very noticeable difference in the pickup of the car, and the PHEV is much more quick. It may not be the best for everyone, but there's an absolute use case for us and a great choice. The only thing I wish is that it had a bit more range than the 25 to 30 miles on electricity. 50 miles would have been more ideal. Stop hating on the PHEVs.
Oh, wait, are we hating on them?
I don't hate on PHEVs.
Oh, yeah. I like PHEVs. PHEVs. I just don't think people are plugging them in as much as they should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother has he talks to me all the time about his Volt. Just like, I just plug it in. I got enough to get to work and back. And I'm like, yeah, because that's what it's for. I think PHEVs are I know a lot of people who really do hate, like in the automotive, like journalists who think PHEVs are stupid or dumb. Just get a BEV. I'm like, sure. I just don't think they don't sell as much as people thought they would.
Yeah.
They don't do as well as people had thought they
And there
would.
are a lot of, like, I've had arguments, which John has not seen, over dinners with people say anyone who buys a PHEV is stupid. I'm like, no, they're not. There's a use case for every vehicle, and there's nothing wrong with it. Well, it's not an efficient thing to have a gas engine and the electric. But it works for people. It is.
I mean, it's not efficient to have a gas engine, period, if you really want to get down to it.
I think for the right people, they're great if you plug them in and use them. I think we've complained about, or not complained, but said the unfortunate side of it is not everybody plugs them in. And if you're not going to plug them in, then it's silly to buy one. Like, why are you buying one and paying the extra cost and having all that without plugging in them? But if you buy it and use it and plug it in, good for you. I have one.
Yeah.
I use it. I plug it in. I get free charging when I'm at the airport with that thing.
Yeah. If you're gonna buy it and never plug it in and just use it as a hybrid, just buy the hybrid.
Exactly.
Because you're not dragging around an extra several hundred pounds of battery. But if you do plug it in, that whether it's 25, 30, 50 miles a day that you get, that is a lot cheaper than putting gas in that vehicle.
Exactly. That's money in your pocket, yo.
Yep.
You can use for $5 Costco chicken.
Exactly. You can buy a lot of chickens with the gas money that you'll save.
Yep.
Okay, continuing on, regarding Ford not putting capacitor touch in the steering wheel, I absolutely feel the pain. My Blue Cruise on the Lightning expired a month ago, and I'm not paying Ford another $50 a month or $500 a year for the privilege of using equipment already built into my truck. At maybe $20 a month, I may cave in as I drive 90 miles a day back and forth to work each day, mostly on the highway. Wow, that's a lot of miles to be doing with a Lightning. I do use it frequently, but also did not ever use it in any bad weather conditions anyway. And I hate the subscription model that are being forced upon into. Cars are expensive enough without an additional $50 a month that goes on forever.
$50 is too much. I think $20 feels like a more reasonable. Yeah, $50
I
is.
feel like somewhere there's a bean counter who's done the break-even point on that for what's the best dollar amount to charge people to get people to do it. But 50 feels high to me.
I feel like
20
is like a magic number for a lot. $19.99 is like this weird magic.
Sure, right?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Super Cruise, you can get an OnStar plan for about $20 or $25 that will allow you to keep using Super Cruise.
Yeah.
Oh, what do we do? Again, I just feel like Ford is nickel and diming. Again, Ford engineers making great products, and then everyone above them is just like, hey, let's make everyone mad.
Yeah. Back to the point, without Blue Cruise, the adaptive cruise control is annoying and constantly nagging when my hands are on the wheel in long, straight areas of the highway. I timed it. At 70 miles an hour, I go about 0.3 of a mile or every 15 seconds or so before the nagging starts. I don't think it's usually quite that quick for me, but I've started to think that it's a secret plan to get us to buy Blue Cruise so we can avoid the idiotic wheel wagging we have to do on straight parts of the drive. I wonder what the uptake on Blue Cruise is at that price and how many like me just refuse to pay Ford $50 a month.
$50 is too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. I don't think I'd do that. $50 a month.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Nope.
Too much.
Nobody
Too much. We
agree.
John, you're on the right side of history. $50 is too much.
You're on the right side of history.
$20.
Side, my friend. Yeah.
$20.
And then to our longtime listener, Chuck Goolsby, who's been with us since very early on. My wife is a veterinarian and has a 2016 F-150 that she uses to tow a horse trailer for work. It's a nice truck, 3.5-liter EcoBoost, King Ranch, so kind of luxurious inside.
Ooh.
Makes a great dog hauler as well, with a generous back seat that we have lined with a cover. The trailer control system is awesome when it works, which often in strong sunlight, it doesn't. But about a year and a half ago, the rear camera just stopped working entirely with a blank screen. So for backing up, and of course, the camera-based trailer control system, it doesn't work at all anymore. I checked the NHTSA website app, and you guys have mentioned many times, and both reported our issue and noted many others are reporting the same, but no recall or acknowledgement from Ford on the subject. Until last week. We received a letter from Ford dated June 2026, finally acknowledging the problem with F-150 failing backup cameras and saying that we can have it replaced by our local Ford dealer under warranty under Customer Satisfaction Program 25N17.
Woo!
Sadly, the lone Ford dealer in our town, and Chuck lives somewhere in Central Oregon, sadly, the lone Ford dealer in our town is no longer an authorized Ford dealer. So they said they couldn't do it. There are 2 other Ford dealers in the region, both about a 45 to 60-minute drive away. So I called one to schedule the repair appointment. He said, yep, we can perform that repair, but not until February.
What is happening?
8 months?
What?
How absurd is that?
Did they not have the cameras? Did they, what is...
Apparently, I guess.
Wait, read the rest of it, because this gets worse.
So 8 months in the future. For repair, the letter says the time needed for this repair is less than 1/2 day. The service manager did say that he can repair it right away, but we will have to pay and request a refund later.
What? How does...
What?
Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Keep up the great work.
So they have the capability. They just don't want to... They're going to get paid either way. What are you doing?
Yeah, what the heck is up with that? I've never heard of that before. Like,
neither have I. I'm going to reach out to Ford and see if I can get an explainer on this.
How? I was thinking they were saying they were so busy. Literally, I had it not scrolled all the way down on my computer, and I was like, what do you mean they want to charge you for it halfway through when you were reading? That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, this is a recall. And there should not be any charging for it, period.
There should be no charging for the recall. And the only thing that should be holding it up is either a part is not available yet, a fix isn't available, or your dealer can't get you in. Not like, well, we'd repair it now if you'll pay for it, but you're going to have to wait for a refund until February? What?
That's
I don't understand the logic there.
Does it take a little while for the Ford to send them the money and they don't? I don't know.
But still, that's the dealer should be.
You're still getting money.
Yes.
You get the money. You're still. Yeah, I don't. This is just shenanigans.
This is shenanigans. You're right,
Chuck,
Robbie.
Chuck, you're dealing with shenanigans.
Shenanigans, Chuck.
Your wife's veterinarian mega truck shenanigans. They're doing some shenanigans.
Yeah,
I will check in with Ford and see what they have to say about this.
I'm going to see Ford this week. Ford, what's going on?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. We got that on Wednesday.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
Okay, we'll just up one side, down the other. Ford, what's going on?
We'll go smack Mike and say, what's going on here?
Stick people around for you, Chuck. See what we can find out.
Maybe there's a Costco near the Ford place. You can get a chicken.
You can go get a hot dog.
There is a Costco between here and there.
All right.
The Costco is right on my way to.
I feel like we need to go for Costco run, Sam.
All right. And then finally from Juan T, he's got a response on our discussion last week on Flock.
Oh,
I like that.
So, hi, Sam and the rest of the crew. Listen to your shows and enjoy the content. So I'm giving you some feedback. My intent is for education and not necessarily criticism. So the Flock system is what is in terms of a tool for law enforcement. It can work very well, and it is not a perfect system. It's obviously used for other commercial purposes. In regards to the unfortunate incident involving your friend outside of Minneapolis, I hope to give you a little clarity. Let me start by saying I'm a career law enforcement patrol supervisor with 34 years of experience, retiring soon. I'm not going to get into the mistakes of inputting the wrong information into Flock, license plate characters. I'm specifically going to address why there were 4 officers around your friend and the notion of overkill, no pun intended. Unfortunately for law enforcement, when they respond to this type of call, you stated as a simple stolen tag, it's actually possible that the car is stolen. Therefore, it's actually viewed as a felony in progress, grand theft auto. There are specific policies that govern how to proceed to this type of call, along with police tactics. I can guarantee you that almost always there will be a strong police presence, meaning that you will see more than 1 or 2 officers. Like I said, police and tactics govern this for officers and civilian safety. This may sound foreign to the average person, but that's the way it works. What may be perceived as an overreaction is actually proper procedure. I'm not diminishing the massive inconvenience this caused the poor man and his wife, which I'm sure sucked at the time. That being said, unfortunately, this is how police will work this type of call. Unfortunately for the police, the bad guys we deal with always lie to us, and we have to work out through our interrogation and investigations the real truth. These officers were working on the information they had at the time and what they believed was necessary. They eventually figured out during their investigation at the cost of a major hassle for your friend and his wife. In short, I get it from your perspective as well as your friends, but I hope you can also get it by me sharing a little behind-the-scenes information. Keep up the great work.
I wasn't here when you guys chatted about this, so I didn't hear the whole conversation. But I mean, I get it. I actually totally follow what he's saying because they don't know. I mean, police officers get shot just because they pulled someone over and the guy's a bad guy and they don't know it, and they get shot when they think they're just going to issue a speeding ticket. So I understand that what the cops knew was stolen tags. They don't know that they're not stolen tags. They don't know if, Joel is a career criminal ready to just shoot and run. Like, they really don't know. And when did you watch I don't know if the video from the police perspective was up when you guys first covered this?
It wasn't up. It wasn't live.
It wasn't up yet.
When you watch the video of them, especially, like, I thought that even initially, I'm like, yeah, but they don't know who you are. They don't know if you're a bad guy or not. When you watch the video, there are but they're not like screaming at them, guns drawn down. Like, they're actually pretty chill. The cops, they're kind of like, can you get out of the car? Can you come towards me? Joel is all like good, responsible, not arguing with them. So it does, I think, seem like overkill unless you think that we know who he is. We know it's a mistake. The cops have no idea who is inside that car or what he's going to do,
Yeah, I agree with that. And Juan, we appreciate you writing to us and giving us that perspective. I will add one other thing to this, though. Joel and his wife are white. If this had happened to one of our friends whose skin tone is a different color, this could have gone very differently.
I'm gonna argue with you. You have no idea. It may have gone differently. It may not have. I'm not gonna just let you say just because it could have been someone of color in that car that they would have pulled out a gun and shot him. You don't know that. That is just
we don't know, but historically.
I don't even think see, I'm going to disagree, guys. You think of the number of people that have been pulled over, and not every black person of color, I'm not trying to insult anybody by phrasing, is going to suddenly be in trouble because they're not white. I just feel like that's an unfair way to characterize anything that happened with us, and it actually doesn't have anything to do with this traffic stop.
I mean, historically, you can look at the data based on, people being pulled over who are white versus people who are being pulled over as person of color. If you just look at the data, it's the data. I'm not gonna argue about the data of
either. But just because a black person got pulled over as opposed to a white person in this car, there is no way that you would have known.
I'm not saying that it would have changed, but I'm saying, like, historically, it's a far more terrifying situation for a person of color to be pulled over than it is for a white person to be pulled over.
That might be true, but that does not change what these officers did or how they reacted. You have no idea how these specific officers would have reacted, and it may have been exactly the same thing if somebody of color had been pulled over with this. That's just not fair to say these officers would have done something.
No, I'm not saying it was these officers. I'm saying that if you look at historical data, and at the end of the day, the problem isn't that the officers came out, they did their job. They weren't aggressive. They didn't like beat up Joel. They didn't do anything. They did everything they were supposed to do. They followed their procedures. But at the end of the day, they did all that because we're using technology that's not ready. It's not ready for prime time. That is the biggest issue for me. Flock should not be doing any of this. First of all, we shouldn't live in a surveillance state. Second of all, even we're living in a surveillance state, and the surveillance is flawed, and it's deeply flawed. And this, this could have happened with a different officers in a different state, with a different person, with different things. It's been happening in LA a lot, where just regular people are getting pulled over, and because Flock has been making mistakes.
Well, it pulled over another journalist too. After this originally, and you guys talked about everything, it pulled over Tim Esterdahl, who lives in Nebraska and runs pickup truck Talk plus SUV and another site called We Talk Cars. Somebody pulled over Tim there. The exact same thing, required some time to explain it. In fact, Tim was even like, no, wait, look. He pulled up the drive story, apparently. He was like, this is a thing.
Wait, was it a Range Rover?
I forget.
Was it another JLR?
It's Tim. I had it up so I would have it. A Range Rover Sport that JLR loaned him to review, and his plate numbers was 3408 DTM. So different two middle numbers, but still the 34 DTM. And I guess but he took him about an hour and he was let go. Yeah. So exact same thing happened. So you're right. 100% about Flock, not about if stuff is imported wrong, and about the number being because it's the weird OEM plate with the little wee digits in the middle causing problems. That shouldn't be.
And the fact that the system hasn't even been updated, even though they've been that Flock story, Joel's story went really wide.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly. And there's follow-up stories, and there's stories from 404 Media and some other places that have also talked about this thing. And the fact that it went really wide, and Flock still didn't update their system.
It says, I'm scanning what Flock. After we ran the story, he heard from someone at Flock, and they were concerned about it. Multiple phone calls with Flock's chief communications officer. And he says, I don't see anything. Like, looking through this, he explained that even if the 10 was normal size, Flock would still have flagged it as a match because that's how they've set it up according to law enforcement's request. Sometimes partial plates are all they have to go on at first. Oh, so it's the partial plate thing. Oh my God!
But,
and anybody
but
who
they know that there's they already know there's an issue.
Yeah,
that's the crazy part. It's like there was a nationally, like a national story that is a known issue with this particular license plate, and they still did not update their system. It just shows their inability to do anything correctly.
Sam, I just put the link to in case anybody's curious, I put the link in our personal show notes. You can get in the show notes.
I'll add that.
That has the extra stuff where the stuff about Tim getting pulled over, and also what Flock officially said, which is absolutely no more comforting than not knowing what Flock said, like the partial number. So yeah, it just doesn't sound and I think, I heard something about Flock getting booted from someplace recently too.
Well, here in Michigan, Westland, which is about 20 miles east of us here, this week decided to cancel their contract with Flock. And there are other communities, and we mentioned this a little bit last week, that a lot of communities are either deciding not to renew their contracts with Flock, or if they can't get out of them early, they're actually going out and putting garbage bags over the cameras.
So they're just covering up the cameras.
Yeah.
So they're
like,
well, we can't get out of our contract.
And, we said this last week. Do not go out and vandalize stuff. You don't own this stuff.
You're gonna go to jail.
Don't go commit vandalism.
You're gonna have 4 cops at your house.
Yeah, at least. But talk to your local officials. If this is something you don't want in your community, and see what can be done.
I've been pulled out of cars before from the car. The driver, please get out of the car. I get out.
I've never gotten called out of a car.
Yeah.
I've had to come over and be mad at me for going too fast. But I've never had them.
I've been called out of a car before. It's not great.
Yeah.
But again, at the end of the day, this is really the biggest issue is Flock and its inability to essentially do the thing it's supposed to do correctly. And also, we probably shouldn't have Flock cameras everywhere. The idea that we're this surveillance state, wherever you go, everything about you is being tracked, and people are determining who you are and the kind of person you are based on this data is insane.
And other stuff has been coming out in recent weeks about Flock. I think 404 has had a lot of coverage about this.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a while.
Where they're not just tracking the license plates, but they're also identifying any bumper stickers you might have on the vehicle. I mean, they're really narrowing down a lot of information.
Type of car, how often you drive, where you're going, where you're shopping. Yeah, no. It's
So,
it's not great.
Juan, thank you for writing in, like I said,
Mhm.
with your perspective,
No,
we
I think it's-
realize, it's not an
Yeah.
easy job.
No.
And
My uncle was
most
a cop.
officers are doing the right thing.
Yeah, no,
but-
my uncle was a cop for years, and I understand that, like, hey, we got to block this person in because there's a flight risk because it is a stolen car. We got to call this person out because if they're stealing cars, there's there is a possibility this person might be armed, and so you want to stay safe, and that and also the safety of people around as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank
because
you.
if that person takes off, now you've created an entirely
More
new
hazardous thing.
issue. Yeah, that's what helicopters
Thank you
are.
to Juan for sending that, and a thank you for 34 years of being in law enforcement. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Juan.
And anybody else that wants to share their thoughts, feedback at wheelbearings.media.
Yeah, you can listen to me complain about privacy for like the 7,000th time.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and we will talk to you next time.
We'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.